spin the rear wheels.
Okay,
Okay.
Somebody has to be driving.
That, in turn,
spin the rear wheels.
will turn this.
Okay.
Okay. Now, because we've got somebody driving and somebody doing what you're doing, I've got to be balancing the shaft.
Okay.
There's a weight on this shaft and you can't see it from where you're at. Basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this thing, we're going to run this thing up to a speed of 70 miles an hour.
Okay.
Which is basically the speed we drive in the States on 44.
Alright.
I'm going to take this and I'm going to balance it. I'm just going to put it right there. Put my finger underneath it to hold it up.
Okay.
Okay. This is going to vibrate or it's not going to vibrate.
Okay.
When I get this one to where I'm happy with it, then I'll go to this one here. We never have to do anything in the transmission for some reason. We've never had to. But it's the cross members.
Okay.
And then it's on the flat plates right here on the front of the pinion flange, right behind the pinion flange on the rear end.
Okay.
One of them is normally going to vibrate.
Alright.
On it if the shaft is giving us a hard time. Then I'm going to put, maybe you can see one here. You can't see it. I don't think you can see that. Yeah, maybe you can. Did that washer right there? Or reference. We're actually doing this.
Alright.
I'm going to call that weight 12 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to put 2 clamps on here. Now they're going to have, when they do this over there, they're going to have clamps that fit their shaft.
Clamps to put the shaft?
They're going to have clamps that go around their drive shaft.
Okay.
And not be too long. I mean, like this is going to be okay. But if they get them too long, they'll sling out at high speed. They'll sling out like this.
Alright.
And rattle and stuff. Okay. Okay, that's tight and that's loose. I can just slide it with my fingers. It'll stay where I put it, but I can move it, okay? Now, I've got one there. I usually put 2 because it's easier with 2. You can adjust the weight that you have to add or take away.
Okay.
Now, if you'll notice, I am close. And I haven't checked this, so I don't know. But I'm close to the rear of the drive shaft. I'm close to the end. One end or the other. It could be here, or it could be here. Okay?
Okay.
Or it could be either end of the next shaft. Very, very, very seldom. In fact, I can only think of one time in 30 years I've been doing this that I had to put anything on the front.
Okay. So, usually just at the back.
It's usually the back or in the middle.
Alright.
Okay, now, I'm going to get this one tight. Back it up and turn it. Okay, now, bearing in mind, and this is for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to use this 12 o'clock weight that the factory installed.
Okay.
And I'm going to put my weight at, see, if my weights were totally across from each other, like at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, there would be no weight at all. They would just counteract each other. So I'm going to put my weight at about, one of them at 2 o'clock and one of them at about 10 o'clock. And then we're going to spin the shaft at 70 miles an hour.
Okay.
See what
I see what you're saying.
All
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we're going to balance this. We're going to spin the shaft.
Okay.
Now, either it's going to be better, worse, or no change. If there's no change, then I'm going to turn both of them about 2 hours at a time.
Okay.
And we're going to spin it again. And it's going to be better or worse or nothing. Most of the time it gets worse. You just keep going, working your way around. Basically, if you see what we've done, James, we've added a fraction, we've probably added grams to
Okay.
the balance on this shaft. And at this point right now, we're taking away from the factory weight because I'm putting weight on the other side. I'm centralizing my weight right here. It's taken away from the other factory weight, from the one they put on.
Right, okay.
If I say something you don't understand, stop me.
I understand. That's a factory weight, okay.
This is the factory. Right here, I would be taking away from it. Back like this, I would be adding to it.
Okay.
Okay? And we just work our way around until we find the spot where it's the best. Now, it may not be perfect. And when it's the best, and I'll use this spot right here because you can see it. Okay, let's say that this is better, but not real good. We'll put them closer together.
Okay.
And spin it again. It's either going to be better or worse. If it's worse, maybe the 2 o'clock and the 9 or 10 o'clock we started with was too much, so we'll back them up a little bit. We'll take away some of what we were subtracting.
Okay.
And try it again. We can dial it in pretty well perfect. Once we get them set, then before we tighten these up, we'll check everything else again, because sometimes what I do right here will affect and transfer all the way up to this end of the tube, of this particular tube.
Okay.
Usually it won't go through the joint, but it'll change what's right here, so we'll have to check this again. And I may have to put clamps up here too, and we'll do the same thing again.
And those clamps are going to be left there?
Yes, those clamps will be tightened up. Once we're happy, everybody's good, then we'll just tighten these clamps up and they will stay right here.
Okay.
But again, much longer than this. If they were this long, too long of a tail, you'd have to cut it off.
Yeah,
because
so
if
it would not
was to
rattle
go very fast, it would flip out and hit these or this or something on the floor.
Right. Okay. So the next one would just be to check it, to check the balance now. And
now, I got a question.
Okay.